6 Stoic Habits for Unshakable Power. Mastering oneself is the ultimate victory. A Stoic principle that underpins all lasting power. This isn't about hiding who you are, but about disciplined self-control that prevents others from using your humanity against you. The following principles, rooted in Stoic philosophy, provide a practical framework for cultivating this kind of strength. 1. Master your reaction. The first battlefield of power isn't in a boardroom or a confrontation, it's on your face. When someone tries to push your buttons, your immediate physical reaction, a grimace, an eye roll, a sarcastic smirk, is a surrender. It tells them they've won the battle for your emotional state. This is why mastering your face is so crucial. A neutral face buys you time. It's a physical act of stillness that forces your mind to slow down. When you stop instinctively reacting, you create space to think, observe, and choose your response. This isn't about being unfeeling. It's about refusing to be a puppet pulled by someone else's strings. Think of the most respected figures in history. Their power wasn't in exaggerated expressions or constant outbursts. It was in their composure. They carried themselves with a quiet stillness that made their words, when they finally spoke, carry immense weight. This composure signals that you are unshakable. A quality that makes people think twice before underestimating you. The Stoics taught that it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Your reaction starts in your face. Begin to practice this in small moments, when a driver cuts you off, or a coworker interrupts you. Instead of reacting, breathe and hold steady. Each small act of restraint builds the habit of being in control of yourself. 2. Think in leverage, not effort. The common instinct when faced with a challenge is to grind harder, to put in more hours, to push with brute force. We're conditioned to believe that sweat equals success. But this often leads to burnout, not breakthroughs. True power lies not in how hard you work, but where you apply that effort. This is the concept of leverage. Leverage is the idea that one well-placed action can make 10 other actions unnecessary. Instead of trying to move a mountain with sheer muscle, you find the fulcrum, the point of greatest impact. The average person is consumed by tasks, constantly busy but often moving in place. The powerful person asks a different question. What one move creates the biggest shift? Think of a business owner who designs a system that automates a task, freeing up their time for strategic thinking. Or a student who learns a single effective recall method, saving countless hours of rereading. This is leverage in action. It's about designing systems that multiply your effort, even in your absence. Leverage requires patience. It means focusing on building foundations that will pay off exponentially later, rather than seeking the immediate gratification of a busy schedule. This could mean delegating tasks, automating parts of your routine, or learning a high-value skill. These moves don't feel like work in the traditional sense, but their payoff is far greater than simply working longer hours. 3. Speak less, observe more. Most people fill every silence with words out of a deep-seated insecurity. We talk to prove our value, our intelligence, or our presence, but often, the more we speak, the less our words are valued. Words lose their power when they are used carelessly. The wise know that silence is a form of power. By speaking less, you create an aura of mystery and influence. When people can't easily read you, they project onto you, and their assumptions often work in your favor. Moreover, silence allows you to listen and observe. While others are busy talking, you are collecting valuable information. You notice the subtle tells, the twitch of a hand, the dart of an eye, that reveal more than any spoken word. Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." This is a strategy for power, not just politeness. When you listen more, you reveal less about yourself and learn more about others. Practice this habit by cutting your sentences in half. Say what needs to be said and stop. Let silence linger. You'll be surprised how often people reveal more when you don't rush to fill the pause. Your words should be like rare coins, each one deliberate, each one valuable. This doesn't mean you should never speak, but that your words should be a tool that cuts through confusion, not just adds to the noise. 4. Be feared for the unknown. People often believe that fear comes from aggression and loud displays of strength. But the deepest kind of fear comes from the unknown. What people cannot measure, they cannot control. When you refuse to be fully predictable, when you hold back your full hand, you become unsettlingly powerful. This isn't about manipulation or deception, but about selective revelation. You show enough to establish your presence, but never enough to be fully mapped out. This unpredictability forces others to hesitate. They don't know what you're capable of or how you might react. And that uncertainty becomes a source of respect. In everyday life, this means not explaining everything. When faced with gossip or misunderstanding, don't rush to defend yourself. Let the story float unanswered. The silence forces others to wonder. And in that wondering, your presence grows heavier. The moment you clarify every detail, the mystery disappears. And with it, your influence. This habit is about embracing your own depths and realizing you don't owe every part of yourself to the world. You keep some things hidden, not out of shame, but out of strategy. This distance creates a form of armor, forcing others to respect boundaries they cannot see. 5. Make yourself scarce and irreplaceable. We are often taught that availability is a virtue. But the truth is, the more accessible you are, the less people value you. When your presence is a given, it loses its weight. Scarcity makes people want you. This is a lesson from nature and commerce. Water from a tap is taken for granted until it's cut off. Gold is prized for its rarity. Your time and attention are your most limited resources. When you are always available, you are essentially telling others that your time has little value. Guarding your time is a form of self-mastery. It is the courage to say no to things that don't serve your growth. Scarcity, however, is only half the equation. You must also be irreplaceable. Scarcity makes people want you. Irreplaceability makes them need you. This comes from cultivating a unique skill, a strength, or a perspective that no one else around you can replicate. The world is full of generalists. Powerful people go deep. They choose one area and master it until their contribution becomes indispensable. This doesn't mean you should isolate yourself. Instead, be intentional with your time. Delay responses, decline invitations that don't matter, and spend that reclaimed time building a skill that sets you apart. The person who is always present but replaceable will be forgotten. The person who is scarce and yet indispensable will be revered. 6. Cultivate strategic alliances. While traditional advice often emphasizes unconditional loyalty, the powerful understand that alliances must be strategic. A true ally is a bridge, not a crutch. They connect you to opportunities, insights, and strength, but you must avoid dependency. Dependency is a form of weakness. It gives others leverage over you. A powerful person keeps allies close but controlled. This means understanding the motivations of everyone in your network and building relationships based on mutual utility, not blind emotion. This clarity allows you to see when a relationship is holding you back, and when it's truly a source of power. This doesn't mean you should be ruthless or uncaring. Instead, it's about a Stoic truth. Focus on what you can control. You can't control another person's loyalty, but you can control your own self-reliance. By becoming self-sufficient, you enter relationships from a position of strength, not neediness. You become a partner, not a subordinate. Powerful people cultivate a network not to lean on, but to leverage. They form alliances with those who offer a unique value, and they, in turn, offer their own. This creates a system where both parties benefit, without either becoming fully dependent. This is how relationships become a source of strength rather than a vulnerability. Be your own sovereign. In the end, all these habits, from mastering your face to cultivating strategic alliances, are about one thing: becoming your own sovereign. They are not about dominating others, but about mastering yourself. Power is not an external force you exert on the world. It is an internal state you cultivate. It's about refusing to be a puppet of your own emotions or the demands of others. It's about building a fortress of self-control, discipline, and intentionality. When you live this way, you create an aura of composure and strength that doesn't need to be announced. It's simply felt. The greatest victory is not over your enemies, but over yourself. And when you win that first battle, all others become that much easier.